Permission to be soft, breaking cycles of trauma through self worth. I want to start with a confession. For years, I believed vulnerability was a liability. That softness was something to hide, especially in professional settings. Maybe you felt it too. That pressure to be bulletproof, to never let them see you sweat. But what if I told you that the very thing we've been taught to conceal might actually be our greatest superpower? Recently, I had the profound honor of interviewing Françes Westbrook, a truly remarkable woman whose journey through generational trauma, domestic violence, and spiritual resilience has transformed countless lives. Frances isn't just another survivor with a story. She's a revolutionary force who has redefined what strength looks like for Black women. Through her raw honesty about her own healing journey, she has created safe spaces for thousands to embrace their authentic selves. Her courage to share her most vulnerable moments has sparked a movement that challenges everything we thought we knew about power and resilience. What struck me most about Frances wasn't just her resilience, but how she's redefined what strength looks like, not as an impenetrable fortress, but as the courage to be seen, fully, authentically, wounds and all. Today, I want to share three powerful insights from Frances' journey that might just change how you think about your own. First, though, let's talk about armor. We all have it, those protective layers we've built, sometimes over decades, to shield ourselves from hurt, rejection, or simply being misunderstood. For many Black women, this armor isn't optional. It's been necessary for survival in a world that often demands twice as much while offering half the grace. But armor, while protective, is also heavy, exhausting to carry, and over time, it can become a prison of its own making. I see heads nodding. You know exactly what I'm talking about, don't you? The weight of always being the strong one, the one who holds it together, the one who shows up no matter what, the one who never complains. What if there was another way? This brings me to the first insight from Frances Westbrook's journey. Embracing vulnerability isn't weakness, it's a strategic advantage. Let me tell you about Walonza Hall, a successful Black professional who made a radical choice in her leadership approach. In an environment steeped in grind culture, where showing emotion was considered unprofessional, Walonza chose a different path. She began leading with empathy, sharing her struggles openly with her team, prioritizing mental well being over constant hustle. The results weren't just surprising, they were transformative. Her team reported higher morale, increased innovation, and stronger collaboration. Projects that had stalled for months suddenly gained momentum. Team members who had previously remained silent in meetings began contributing breakthrough ideas. After years of hiding her authentic self due to workplace expectations around toughness, especially as a Black woman leader, Walanza discovered that true influence came from honesty about her journey. She became known for building inclusive spaces where others felt empowered to share their stories without fear. What's fascinating is how this rippled throughout her organization. Senior executives who had previously maintained rigid professional facades began sharing more authentically. Meetings that once felt like performative exercises became genuine conversations. The entire culture shifted, all because one woman dared to lead with vulnerability. Her vulnerability didn't diminish her authority, it amplified it. This mirrors what Frances discovered in her own life, that being real about pain and survival can lead to healing, not just for yourself, but for those around you. That when we drop the mask, we create permission for others to do the same. But here's the challenge: how do we begin this unmasking when we spend so long perfecting our armor? This leads me to the second insight. Self worth requires permission from yourself. For many of us, especially those who've experienced trauma, worthiness feels like something we need to earn through achievement, through sacrifice, through suffering. We've internalized the message that we must constantly prove our value at work, in relationships, even to ourselves. Brandy Ward's story illustrates this powerfully. Like Frances, Brandy's path included overcoming internalized unworthiness, shaped by family patterns and toxic relationships. She found herself constantly seeking approval until burnout forced a reckoning. The turning point came when Brandy began granting herself permission each day to rest when needed, to say no without guilt, to define success beyond external validation, to prioritize community over competition. I want you to really hear this. Brandy had to write herself actual permission slips, physical notes that said, I give myself permission to leave this meeting if it goes over time. I give myself permission to not respond to emails after 6 p.m. I give myself permission to disappoint people who have unreasonable expectations. These seemingly small acts of self authorization created massive shifts. They allowed Brandy and those she mentored to move from surviving adversity toward thriving personally and professionally. She built programs supporting other Black women entrepreneurs on similar journeys, out of silence into empowerment, helping normalize conversations around worthiness as inherent, not conditional. What would change in your life if you granted yourself permission today? Permission to heal fully, to love boldly, starting with yourself, to leave situations that harm you, even if they feel familiar, to define happiness on your own terms. This isn't selfish, it's sacred. For many Black women, the world has withheld this permission. Reclaiming it is revolutionary. Françes Westbrook's story powerfully demonstrates how self worth is not earned through suffering, but affirmed by choosing yourself every day. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. That sounds nice, but you don't know what I'm dealing with. You don't know how hard it is to choose myself when so many people are depending on me. You're right. I don't know your specific circumstances, but I do know this: survival mode was never meant to be a permanent address. Which brings me to the third insight from Frances's journey. Spiritual resilience transforms survival into empowerment. Let's talk about Suzette, a corporate executive who learned the necessity and power of setting emotional boundaries after enduring familial trauma. She navigated workplaces where emotional labor was disproportionately expected from Black women, while simultaneously healing childhood wounds rooted in parental conflict and loss. Suzette developed rituals for identifying triggers, sought therapy, and communicated clear boundaries regarding what behaviors were unacceptable, even when it meant leaving toxic environments behind. What's remarkable about Suzette's journey wasn't just her professional success, it was how she transformed her personal healing into collective liberation. She created a morning ritual where she would ask herself three questions: what do I need today? What boundaries must I protect? Where can I extend compassion to myself? These questions became her compass, guiding her decisions, large and small. When a colleague would make a dismissive comment in a meeting, she had the clarity to address it immediately rather than absorbing it. When family members made demands that threatened her well being, She had the language to decline without guilt. Years spent absorbing blame and shame gave way to clarity once she prioritized herself unapologetically. She eventually led workshops on boundary setting, attended by hundreds, catalyzing broader cultural shifts that normalized emotional safety as an essential tool, not a luxury, for high achieving Black professionals. What made this transformation possible wasn't just determination, it was a profound trust in something greater than herself, a spiritual foundation that anchored her through uncertainty. This mirrors what Frances discovered. Navigating heartbreak, family rupture, and survival mode while holding on to faith shows the transformative power of spiritual resilience. Trusting in something greater than yourself, even when life feels uncertain, can help shift from mere survival to purposeful living. When we connect to something larger than our pain, we find the courage to move through it rather than remain defined by it. I want to pause here and acknowledge something important. This work isn't easy. Breaking cycles of trauma, especially generational trauma, requires tremendous courage. It means looking at patterns you may have inherited but didn't create. It means making different choices, even when the familiar, however dysfunctional, feels safer. But here's what Frances Westbrook's journey teaches us: you don't have to do it alone. In fact, perhaps the most revolutionary act isn't just choosing yourself, it's creating communities where others can do the same, where vulnerability is valued, where softness isn't seen as weakness, but as wisdom. This is what the soft girl era truly means. Not a trend or aesthetic, but a profound reclamation of what it means to be strong. A recognition that true power doesn't require us to harden ourselves against the world, but to remain open to it. With appropriate boundaries, yes, but also with hope. So here's my challenge to you today: write yourself a permission slip, not tomorrow, not when things calm down. Right now. Take out your phone or a piece of paper and write, I give myself permission to, maybe it's permission to rest without guilt, to say no without explanation, to prioritize joy, to be imperfect, to heal at your own pace, to define success differently than those around you. Whatever it is, claim it, speak it aloud, share it with someone you trust, and invite them to write their own. Because when we grant ourselves permission to be fully human with all our strengths and vulnerabilities, we create ripples that extend far beyond our individual lives. The world doesn't need more people who are good at suffering in silence. It needs more people who are brave enough to show up authentically, to speak their truth, and to create spaces where others can do the same. Your worth is not measured by your productivity. Your value is not determined by how much pain you can endure. Your strength is not proven by how little help you need. You were born worthy. Full stop. And in a world that profits from your self doubt, remembering that truth is not just an act of self care, it's an act of revolution. So I challenge you: begin your revolution today. Grant yourself permission to be soft, to be human, to be worthy without proving anything to anyone. Because when you do, you don't just change your own life, you create the possibility for others to change theirs. And in that possibility lies the power to break cycles that have persisted for generations. That is your legacy. That is your power. That is your permission. Thank you